I am here today with Alex Street because he said yes to me on my podcast, and I'm super excited to be here with you. So, we were just having a quick little chat about kids, family, life, and all the things. But
Yeah.
Alex is here because he's many things, but one thing he is very good at is the art of storytelling and figuring out, I guess, the who in your story and
hmm
what sells and what navigates and all the things. So maybe Alex, for those who don't know you, can you give
Mm.
us a bit of a story on you? I know it's broad, but who you are and what you do
Yeah.
and all that.
Well, this is what I love because, hey, first of all, just thank you for having me. It is such a pleasure to be here, and I can already tell there's gonna be some real authenticity that comes out of this conversation. Just the vibe that you bring is really pure and honest, and I am
Thank you.
grateful for that and for being here already, feeling that come through. So let's say
Appreciate you.
that.
Thank you.
I work with so many people on how to share their story because questions like this come up and they start sweating. Their palms are sweating. They're like, where do I freaking begin? When I get on a podcast and the first question is, give me your story. Like, tell me who you are, what you've got. And so much of my work is in just narrowing that down to, yeah, what is the very basics of your story? If you only had to make it 2 words, what would that be? And so mine, very simply here, would be mine is a story of going from confusion to clarity. And I show up to you today more clear than ever that I'm doing the work that I should do and I'm in the place that I should be and I am content and satisfied and excited for whatever is to come and constantly overcoming the struggles of confusion and fear and frustration and stuckness that have come up my entire life as a speaker, as a communicator, as a coach, as a dad, as a husband. And that's how I sit with you right now. So that's one version that we can dig into as much as you want to now and explore whatever we want to here, Brittany.
Oh my gosh. No, I feel like, yeah, confusion and clarity. Thank you for saying that. I think that most everyone can relate to that. You know, there are points in our life that really put us up against what does this mean and what is next from there and how do you even deconstruct that? But you yeah,
Yeah.
like where do you even start? I know you say one clear story can
Yeah.
inspire powerful change. So,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, this is fun. It is the nature of us as human beings. We are built on storytelling. There is studies that show that of all the species, let's go way back to like cave people, and you look at like there were different species of bipedal organisms, not just human beings, Homo sapiens as we know us to be here, but there was different kind of species. But Homo sapiens survived. This is from the book Sapiens. He talks about this that we thrived because we learned to tell stories. And what that really means is this sense that we passed on our experiences to each other so that the next person could learn from that and adapt and survive through whatever they just lived through. Whereas everybody else, the cave next door, they weren't sharing what they just experienced with their brother, their sister, whatever. They weren't drawing the pictures on the walls. They weren't sitting around the fire and talking, grunting, whatever they did to pass that on. And so they just died off. But we, as a species, as a society, as a people, our entire history, look at that word, is based off of sharing our experiences for the next person, whether it's the next generation, the next, the entire the next people in your family, whoever it might be, your friends, your family, strangers on the internet. When I share my experience, I believe that it helps you live through your experience, and that at its basis is my starting point. So the more clear that you can make that one story that you are sharing, that one main story, the more clearly you're going to help the people that are on the receiving end of that, whether they be your kids or your friends or your clients. Anybody that you're meeting that's listening, one clear story really can make all the impact in the world.
It's so true. I think it brings back to the sapiens part of it, like that human
Mm-hmm.
connection, right? The more that we actually speak and speak from the heart, the more people are connected. The more, I'm going to throw out that authentic word,
Yeah.
but the more
Yeah.
authentic you are, approachable you are, and not as, up here versus down here amongst everyone.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just threw out a bunch of, oh, look at that. This Alex knows about, okay, he read about storytelling from ancient times. Wow, impressive. Good. Who cares if I go to, okay, here's what I really mean. One clear story, all you need is one clear story to make lasting impact. Is looking at, when I think of our family, we went on a road trip a few years ago, 3 years ago. We called it the Big Things trip. And we want to see all the big things in the world. We drove 30 days and in a minivan, 13,000 kilometers, 8,000 miles. I mean, it was nuts. Three basically teenagers and me and my wife. And throughout that trip, the story that I made sure that we were telling was, today is a great day. Now, there were days that we canceled plans because I was sick. That didn't seem like a great day, but today, what it meant was today, like we're here today. Yes, we know that tomorrow, or 6 days from now, we'll be at Disneyland. But today, while we're on the road driving for 12 hours, it's just as good of a day. It's a great day, in fact.
Yeah.
So that one clear story, exactly, that one story that we chose to tell impacted then every day of the journey. It wasn't just about the Grand Canyon and the mountains, the Rocky Mountains and the Pacific Ocean and Disneyland. It wasn't just about the big things, but when we talk about the trip, we talk about the small moments that we remember because we made sure to see those.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by one clear story.
So, what do you say to the people that think their life isn't interesting enough to tell a story?
Are you one of those people or what?
I think.
Or do you hear those people? I mean, give me an example. Like, where do you see that?
I hear those people, and
yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm one of those people, but I am the person that doesn't know where to start with a story. Where you're like, here's my life. I have all these different things that made me who I am, but like, what's actually interesting enough?
Yeah. Oh, there's like a subtle difference there. I don't have my stories. My life's not interesting enough to tell. And then you're like, no, because there's so many moments to choose from. What's like the most interesting? Mm-hmm. So now you're actually, what's happening when you do that, and this is why I asked that subtle question there, is because, we are constantly like, categorizing, filing the quality, the coolness of our own lived experiences in our life, wondering what is going to impress the crowd.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you start to go there and say, well, yeah, okay, look, my stories just aren't interesting enough, immediately let's call that what it is. And it is a comparison to the other person's stories that are out there. Mm-hmm. Whoever she is that you're watching, you're listening, you're seeing them share their stories, and you're like, yeah, but my stories aren't as interesting as them. Am I right or am I right?
That's so true. Oh my gosh, yeah, totally.
So part of the joy that I get is just really helping people see their own story. And truly, like, I am just a naturally curious and fascinated person by humans. And so things you're going to tell me that you're like, this is just my day, Alex, and this is just what I go through, I'm going to be like, yeah, but why? Like, what? How did you end up there? That is so rad. Like, what is why do you care about that place? Why did you choose that drink? Why you really wake up at 5 a.m.? You don't tell me more. You watch The Real Housewives of New York? I can't stand, why do you do that? Like, all of it is a why to me rather than a judgment, and that, like, a curiosity. And I think that's what I would say to anybody that is sitting here going like, yeah, but my stories aren't interesting enough. the quick encouragement is be more curious about it. Like, look at your own stories with curiosity to see, wow, yeah, but how did I end up there? Like, what was the decision? What if my story was a book? What if it was a rom-com? Like, it would have to be interesting. So let's make it interesting. And also then let's cut that cord of comparison and see what happens then.
How did you get into this?
Aha.
Where's your story in this? Where did you start?
Yeah, there we go. This, for me, really doing this work that I specifically do, owning this as I am a storytelling and speaking coach, really began 6 years ago in one moment when somebody helped me see, this is what you can do. But this has been truly since I was a kid. It was clear to me that I would be on the stage. I mean, my mom was an actress and my dad was a photographer. So I always say, like, he told stories through film. She told stories on the stage. My brother's a screenwriter now, and I do this, and I wanted to be an actor. And so it's just, there's almost a sense where, like, I couldn't, of course we were going to be this. Of course we're going to be struggling artists to some degree all the way because our parents were, bless them. But I remember following my mom around the theater and, like, just hoping to be that, to have the kind of impact that she had when she spoke. The audience changed the way that they breathed. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, literally, sometimes she would say something and they would laugh, which is a different breath. But sometimes she would just stand on stage and I would sit in the audience and you could feel people, like, holding their breath, waiting for what was to come. I was just like, this is real impact. This is incredible. I'm a 12-year-old kid watching my mommy, who, like, cut my carrot sticks, do this thing and transform people. And I just knew I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted that magic somehow.
And how so, inspiring for you to remember that as that child, the impact that your mom had on you, and how that has so shaped and formed you. Yeah.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I see so much of who she is in what I do and who I am. And my parents got divorced when I was about 8, and so it was like, my mom moved out, and so weekends were going to be with her, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the theater. So we go hang out with her, and then we go and hang out at the theater, me and my brother. And so I'm watching the show 8, 13, 14 times, I don't know, that I saw any given run, and then hanging out in the rehearsal room, and I'd hear her and my eventual stepdad talk it all through on the way home. And it was something that I could either resent and be like, no, this isn't, pulling me away from what family was supposed to be. But again, I was enamored by it, wowed by it. And I just adored this woman so much. And I felt so connected to her always, that any moment, any way that I could see her, be near her, experience her magic felt like a gift. Truly, all the way through, it felt like magic. And anytime that somebody else would say, like, your mom is magic, I'd be like, yeah, but you don't.
She's
like,
mine.
You don't even know. Yeah. So there's such pride in that.
Yeah.
There still is, obviously. But yeah. So following her footsteps so long felt like the right way. And yet, to speak to the confusion point, it never felt like I was doing what I saw her do whenever I was in front of an audience. It never felt like I was having that impact, like just authentically changing them. And then trying so many different things. I mean, I became a youth pastor for a while, and for 10 years, like, was just speaking in front of audiences constantly and just having a great time with these kids and their parents and at church all the time, like just speaking and trying new things. And it was a way to really experience all of that.
And the impact you would have on those youth.
Exactly. Just an absolute magic time. It was incredible helping people see in themselves what they couldn't see. Really. And then trying that, and then eventually getting, I mean, this was what, 10 years ago, really leaving that, that whole system, that box, that everything. I was like, this isn't right for us anymore. And starting my own thing, trying to explore what that is. And 6 years ago, I ended up in a business mastermind with Chris and Lori Harder, where I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what my business was, but I just knew I was starting something. And it was something totally different than what I do now. But I got up to introduce myself and I just told my story. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm confused. I'm looking for clarity. Hopefully it's found in this room, but I don't feel like I belong here. You're all wildly successful. I haven't made $1. Let's go. And I sat down feeling like, again, like I missed the mark. I didn't do the right thing. And someone leaned over to me and whispered, like, you need to teach us to speak like you do.
Yeah.
You do something there that none of us can do. Your storytelling is your superpower. And so I was like, oh, there it is. Oh, okay. I didn't even try. Wow, are you kidding me? Like, here we go. And so in an effort of like not trying to impress the audience, I ended up just naturally coming through and showing exactly who I am and what I'm good at. And that is then the start of, that's a moment that was a catalyst for doing what I do now. But as I said, it's like, it's always been here. Yeah.
What do you think makes a story stick with people, like long after they've heard it?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's something, there's a wow factor that I think stands out for, that's one element. Because everybody looks for like, yeah, but my story doesn't have an explosive moment, right? On the streets, tripping out on a heroin overdose, and then God found me, and now look at me, and I help addicts get out of, debt or something.
Like the rock
Whatever
bottom,
the story.
right? Like
exactly.
You don't always have a rock bottom that's as big as other people's rock bottom.
Exactly. So you're back in that comparison game and you think that it's not as good enough. So sometimes, why do stories stick? I think sometimes because there is that moment. There is that thing. And you go like, oh yeah, she's the one who broke out of prison. I remember her story. Like, of course you are. Of course you'll remember that. But in lieu of that, because most of us don't have that Captain America moment, what really makes it stick is the clarity of the regular kind of moments where we change. And so I would bet if someone's going to remember my story from this podcast, they'll probably attach themselves, as you picked up on, to some part of the relationship that I have with my mom. And the more clearly and eloquently that I can articulate that relationship, how I feel about that, how she felt about me, what I picked up from that, that's probably what's going to stand out to people about this story. So there's some really clear relatability in the otherwise mundane moments. So if you can find the thing that you think might just be, it's just life, but you can articulate the value that mundane thing has to you, then it becomes magical. And that mundane thing becomes memorable because, of course, it has value. And if it has value to you, then it has value to us, the audience, and that's what we're going to remember.
And it's in the way you're speaking it even too, like going back to your mom and you in that audience, and you so eloquently said, like, we're evoking emotion.
Yeah.
And then how do you even get into knowing which parts to leave in and what needs to be removed?
Yeah. And this is the fun of it when you're showing up on podcasts like this, or especially in conversations. I'm always of the, I would be a camp leader in the camp that says, say less.
Yeah.
Say less and let them invite you to say more. Which is why I didn't start, when you asked what's my story, I really intentionally tried to start with the smallest common denominator, confusion to clarity. And then when you ask, all right, say more, like, how did you get into this? All right, well, let's open that up a bit. Let's go back further and let's dig that up. And then we're talking about my mom all of a sudden. And I haven't even gotten to the most transformative, difficult, expressive experience with my mom, which was when she passed away 12 years ago. And I had conversations with her that the only kind of conversations that you have with people at that time. And I asked her about the work that she did. And I remember sitting there and saying, like, what did you enjoy about this? And she looked at me like literally days before passing away. And she said it was the gift that I got to give to the audience. It was a gift of entertainment I got to give to them. That they would come in feeling one way, and then we would perform and we'd put on what we do, and then they would leave feeling a different way. That's a gift that we got to give every time that I did this. So you better believe that I remember that now. And so why storytelling? Why do I do this work? Because I truly believe that I have an opportunity, even here with you today, Brittany, to it's like, all right, here's a little gift. That's hopefully someone tuned in today feeling one way about their life, their story, their importance, their identity, their value, their significance. And they're going to leave feeling like, holy crap, I'm so much cooler than I thought I was. My story is so much better, so much more powerful than I ever imagined. Just by being, it has value and significance. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, you have the gift too. Like, I just got like full body like tingles as to like you expressing that, the way that your mom made you feel and what she spoke to you, and you have that gift. That's what you're sharing with all of us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. That's more meaningful than I'm sure you know, actually. You know how meaningful that is to hear something like that. But that's it. That's the hope, and that's, there's definitely some sense. You look to your parents, and whether you like it or not, you are some sort of
reflection or
reflection of them. Result of who they are, and you hope that it's their best, and yet a lot of the time it can be at their worst, and that's what you have to continually dig up for the rest of your life through therapy. But when it becomes moments like this that I get to see, that is the best, I see the best in her, in the best in me, and then it's reflected back to me by a comment like that. I mean, it's like I feel joy, but I feel like there's depending how woo we get with this, woo, I don't know.
I'm good.
There's
with
other
woo.
joy. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, of course she's lighting up. Yeah. Whatever version of her is out there. Like, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's a story continuing on its path.
And so in these 20-some minutes we've been sitting here, you've told different stories, but in a similar way of feeling. So do you believe someone should stick with one core, quote, like signature story, or do you evolve and adapt that story over time?
Yeah, brilliant. I think this is where I would say the signature story is that main transformation. So, when I work with people, it's like, all right, let's pull that out. All the work we're doing is really to find that transformation from there to here. And the more clearly and more you can own those words, as I said, confusion to clarity really just sings for me. That is like, so makes it come alive. I understand what that is. And as you said in response to that, it's like, I think we all understand what that is as well. But before you, it has to matter for me. So if your story is first for you, then let's dig in. Let's find that signature transformation, how you have changed. from how you felt to how you feel at your best. Understanding the story isn't over. We know that, and we can get into that a little bit more, but it's as far as it can go today. This is as far as you know in the story, so let's write up to this point. So if I clarify that, then you get to go, okay, wow, that actually frees me up then to tell any story within that transformation. So I can sit here today and I can tell you about my mom. I could tell you about the mastermind. I could tell you about major transformation moments in my life. Like, yeah, when I left my job at the church, or when Dave first gave me the chance to speak to an audience at 17 years old, or when my voice cracked on stage at 15 years old and puberty took center stage. It's like I could tell you about any of those moments, and I can work them all into that same transformation story. So that's where the beauty of this is, when you find your signature story, it actually should free you up in your storytelling to see that your entire life matters. Your entire story matters, not just one thread that you chose to tell that time on that stage or that podcast, but it's no, there's this whole beautiful arc that you've experienced, and we get to pull any moment out of that at any given time for the audience in front of us.
I love that. Yeah. And just sitting here, there's so much clarity in that. How do you add that transformation, not just the information, into a story that will really truly affect and change the listener?
Yeah. And that's where something I harp on and want to sing from the rooftops is, remember this: your story is not a list of events. Your story is an arc of transformation. And so the information I think that you're just alluding to there is, where it feels like, oh, here's my story. In 2015 I was here, then 2016 I was here, 2017 I was here, and I would argue that's a list. You're just telling us a list of events. But you can change that really quickly by saying, well, in 2015 I felt lost. But now, 2025, I feel found. Here's what happened along the way. So it really is these anchor points of emotions that allow us as an audience to say, oh, I remember feeling lost. Sometimes I feel lost too. Okay, I want to hear more. But without that, 2015 I was here, 2016 I was here. I was like, okay, great, thank you. So really what you're doing in this is trying to dig up. Again, the arc of transformation depends on that transformation from there to here. I once was here, now I am here. And you better believe every day I still feel confused and also yearn for clarity, because that's the nature of this. But when you have transformation, now you have a story. If you don't have transformation, you literally don't have a story. You just have a list of events. So if you're looking for this, you're really trying to work on this. Okay, how do I translate this? How do I make this work for me? How do I tell stories? It's so big, it's so complicated, it's so confusing. And I would say just minimize. Break it down. Start with at the very beginning of your story. Can I tell you a story? This is about how I went from feeling lost to feeling found. There's not a person in that room that's not going to lean in and want to know what happened. And then they fully trust that you understand the journey you're about to tell us. Which just creates so much trust with an audience and allows them to stay engaged wherever you go. Is that clicking?
Yeah, big time.
Is that connecting? Good. Yeah.
So behind you have, I see your book, The Story Arc.
Yes.
So tell me a bit about it. This is one I have to read and I have not, so I am all over this one. But
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the breakdown of how to find and share your signature story. So, it's basically everything that I do in my coaching is based on this little beauty arc right there. And the book itself just breaks it down. I mean, it's 115 pages. It's an airplane read, and you'll have time to also watch a movie. It's the kind of thing that like I just want to put this out there and get it out and help you also work through that process to discover who I am. Start with the now, and then declare who I was. Say, yeah, I was there. Or sorry, I had those backwards. Declare who I am and discover who I was, and then define what happened so that you can describe the transformation. And there's this sense as you go through those 4 steps, you'll complete this 3-arc story or 3-part story arc that is so simple, so clear, and allows you then to go forward and say, oh, like I really have changed. And I can also use this as a starting point to invite people in to my work, to my business, to help them transform in the same way that I have. You know, I went from confusion to clarity, and I'm here to help you do exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
so not to hinder that maybe
that.
You are still walking through the confusion to clarity in certain everyday life, pieces that we're confronted with too.
Yeah. Exactly, right? Because there's an immediate, objection that shows up that, as I said earlier, my story's not over yet, or I still feel what I felt back then. Yeah, of course you do. Like, the story you've lived through is the story you're living through. You watch Spider-Man, he keeps overcoming the same kind of obstacles of identity and ownership and responsibility. It's going to be the same thing. Harry Potter keeps overcoming the same thing of like, as he gets friends, he tries to push them further away because he's used to feeling alone.
Yeah.
But it's a story of going from alone to love. So of course you're going to keep coming up against those things. That is your story to bear and your story to share. So
you said speaker, and then you work with people navigating their story. Yeah. How do people come and find you? I feel like, what do you tell to the person that's just like so terrified of telling their story publicly? Yeah. What's one low pressure way to start? Because I feel like people are seeking you out to start somewhere. Yeah,
I love that so much because literally that happens. People are like, I started following you and you messaged me to say, hey, and I never wrote back because I knew that meant that I was going to have to face this, and I wasn't ready for that yet. And so let's just, first of all, like, I'm not pressured. I'm not putting any pressure on anybody. I am here for the conversation and all the questions. So find me on Instagram and start a conversation. Say hey, and say exactly what Brittany just said. Is like, I don't know, I'm a little afraid of all this. Great, let's just talk about that. But really, lowest pressure way, if you're like, I'm terrified of sharing something about myself, really is what you're saying. I'm happy to talk about my product or talk about somebody else's product or talk about my work or talk about other people or just show glimpses of what I do in a day. Easy. But to then get forward and share something, vulnerable, real. Here's the good news. You don't have to go into like deepest, darkest fears. That's you don't have to go there. That's not the first step. It's not going into the deep end, the middle of the ocean. We're going to wade into this a little bit. So to get your feet wet, it really is something of saying like, you know what? Right now, I mean, this is me showing up on stories. If you did this, you're like, I am not very comfortable speaking on stories, and yet here I am. Maybe I'll do this more. Bye. That's it. It sounds ridiculous, and you're like, what's the good in that, Alex? Why are you going to do that? How is that going to help sell my product or do anything for me? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's first for you. Yeah. And Instagram is practice ground. So if that's your place of choice, whatever social media it is it's practice ground. Something lives on there for 24 hours and goes away. Practice. Give it a go. And more than likely, what I love about this, what I tell everybody that's stepping onto a stage and is so nervous, is that everybody in that audience wants you to win. And everybody that's of value in your audience, on your social media, everybody that's real, also wants you to win. So if you show up and you say something like that, you're telling a version of your story, scared to showing up, and you're posting it. Do you think that's not going to inspire people or want them to like throw clap hand emojis at you and celebrate and say, I'm here for more of this, babe. Like, let's go.
You got to start somewhere.
You've got to start. So you said, what's the smallest, lowest entry point? I would say the good news is it's just showing up in some way. The bad news is it requires showing up in some way.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be that.
So what are you working on now? How can people work with you? Tell us your next steps. Your clarity.
I'm very excited I have a group coaching call that's coming up, program we're just winding one down and amping one up. I should ask you, when is this episode coming out, actually?
I'm actually going to put this out next week.
Party on then. We are starting middle of September.
Oh, perfect.
September 17th. So this is called Make Speaking Magical Masterclass. And it's really for people that are speakers, seasoned speakers or brand new speakers. This is working on 5 tricks that really make sure that you can captivate your audience. And the beauty of this space is every time that we get on a call, you guys get to practice. You speak and you get live feedback and conversation from your peers and from me about your speaking. So really cool concept and space, and it's so safe, and it's been absolute magic. So that's one thing that we're working on. And then otherwise, if you really want to do this work deep and quick, then we've got I've got a brand new offer called 30 Days to Your Signature Story.
I heard about that one. I love it.
As shiny as it can be.
Yeah.
And that would be in 1 month. Like, let's do the work. Let's find out exactly what this is and create something that you can use by the end of that month on any platform in any way, and break it down in any way that you want to use, again, in so many different ways. But you will know exactly what your signature story is by the end of that. So
that's so powerful.
Anyway,
that is so
I think
powerful.
It'll be incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's going to
Not
fly.
think, like it will be, because people want things now. And so how do you start, and how do you get that for tomorrow?
Yeah, because it's the same work that I do in my, I have 3-month coaching packages that I've been doing for 5 years now, and it's good and it's great, and there's always transformation, and sometimes it even takes longer than that because connections and people and then what, they fade and they lose interest or something happens along the way. So I agree with you. It's something about this. Let's get it done in a month. What could happen, between September 1st and October 1st, if you now were abundantly clear on not only how you do what you do, but what you do and what to say to talk about that, and ultimately why you at your core do this thing, it's going to change the game for you. So
yeah,
that's the exciting stuff right there.
Messaging is what we need, and your story and owning it is so powerful.
That's it. That's the foundation for all of it. So yeah.
To wrap up, I like to do a quick rapid fire question for you. So I have some questions for you specifically today. So the first stage you ever spoke on?
Yeah, that was at a youth group. I was a 17-year-old volunteer leader. And as I said earlier, Dave, the youth pastor, was like, do you want to speak next week? I was like, what? This is your job, man. He's like, nah, you do it. And it sucked. And then here's the key. He put his hand on my shoulder afterwards and said, do you want to try again? And I haven't stopped since. So that was it.
Love it. Your go-to
grungy
pump-up
church
song.
basement. I'm sorry.
You're reliving it, every part of it.
I can smell it. That's awful.
Your go-to pump-up song before speaking, or your walkout song, because we had that one today.
Oh, that's great. Okay, there's a couple here. Walkout song. I've got the Top Gun anthem in my head. Like that was excellent. We walked back down the aisle to that at my wedding. But my pump up song, more than anything, is "Show Yourself" from the Frozen 2 soundtrack.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Woo-wee. Oh my gosh.
That gets me going.
That's
I'll
amazing.
tell you what.
That's amazing.
There's probably I actually have an Alex Pump Up Songs playlist. Like, I should, but that's
share
one I
that
gotta
on
go
Spotify.
to. Maybe.
Okay,
I should.
last one. How about the best storyteller, living or dead, you'd love to have dinner with?
Oh, that is fabulous. Let's go with Walt Disney himself. I think that would be phenomenal. That would be dead. Living, one of my favorite authors and storytellers ever that I've learned so much for. His name is Rob Bell. He's a great author. Kind of came from a church world and is not in that anymore. Is now just, he's got the Rob cast again. He's so captivating. So there's two versions there. One is like how you show up and share a story, and then Walt is more of that, like, man, how do you make a story last for a century?
Literally.
That's incredible.
That's a good one. Well, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so alexstreet.ca is the homepage, and it's got all the information there. And then, but you don't want to just search and look for whatever's there. So come and find me on Instagram at Street Says. It's all me. There's no bots. There's no automation. There's nothing. It's me responding to everything. So let's chat. Tell me what you loved about this, what showed up, what questions you've got, what your deepest fear is. Let's get into it.
Love it.
And I'd love to meet you.
Thanks, Alex. I will tag all of that in our show notes. I appreciate you being here today.
Amazing. My absolute pleasure.